Phillips.
Yes, Phillips Appliance in Greenwood.
You may know that on Maxwell Avenue. So he does that full time, right? And then he pastors at Broadmouth Baptist is Honey Path, right?
Yes.
Honey Path. But then also he's got how many kids?
Half a dozen.
6 kids. 6 kids. That's amazing. So, and when you're not in the pandemic, when we're not in this quarantine, you guys, so you've got services on Sunday morning and Sunday night?
Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night.
And
Sunday
Wednesday
school.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's some work. Justin is my neighbor while he is building. He's also building a house right now too.
Yes.
So there we are. There's the live. Anyway. Yeah, you got to cut that.
There we go.
I have no idea how to get on this. Anyway, so we were trying to think of a good question, and since this is caffeine and quarantine, what is your? Where do you get your coffee? What's your favorite coffee? What do you drink? What kind of coffee do you guys drink? Whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Facebook, tell us. Or if you're not a coffee drinker, if you're not saved yet, if you don't know the Lord, you have to drink coffee, right?
I mean,
it's in the Bible somewhere.
You know, it's there. I mean, I love coffee. I love aromas here in town.
Yes.
I love, Starbucks. And I love drinking coffee all over the world. If I travel, the best coffee I ever had was in Haiti, and I really believe that they went to plucked the coffee out, did whatever they did with the beans, and just grinded it and cooked it right there. It was just, I mean, we woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I felt like I could run up the mountain, and it was great, smooth. It was awesome.
We had Kim and I were in Jamaica one time, and they had this. I think it was called Blue Mountain.
You told me about that.
Yeah, man, it was good. It was really good. You got aromas on here.
I have aromas right now, right? Is this aromas coffee?
That's from aromas.
This is like my 6th cup of coffee this morning.
We need to pray for Mary Kate
maybe
because
4.
she can't drink coffee because of medical reasons.
Oh, man.
That's too bad.
Definitely
a prayer request.
Yes.
Awesome. I can. There are some people that are coffee snobs, not me. This is right. This morning I'm drinking Stop a Minute. That's not just a cup. That's right across the road, and I'll drink any kind of coffee anywhere except for no cold coffee. Are you a cold coffee drinker?
If I'm drinking coffee and it gets cold, I will drink it. I mean, I would finish it down, and I drink
Still
my
cold?
coffee black. It's John Wayne all the time. I rarely ever use creamer or sugar. So, but I do draw the line when it comes to convenience store coffee, because I just I don't know. I'm not. It's not that I just want to spend more money. It's just that if I'm gonna drink it,
It's cracking on my coffee.
Unless I'm in the middle of nowhere, and then I'll get it and I'll stomach it down. So
I just love coffee as long as it's hot. I don't ever get like the cold coffee drinks, the cold brew and that stuff, the iced whatever they do. I don't
really.
Ever
That's
do
not
it.
coffee anyway. That's just like
I don't know. It's got to be hot.
It's a bunch of sugar and stuff mixed together. But I do drink it sometimes.
So, Carol.
Oh yeah,
Carol by
I agree.
gas
Carol.
station
It's
coffee
not good.
she's got a face that looks like sick, really, really bad.
I'm always weary about the coffee that says like you need to dump it 5 hours ago, and it's still there. So it's just like
Well, you have to
Should I
check
drink it?
gas station coffee.
Should I drink it or should I not?
Yeah, if you go to a gas station, you do have to smell it before you drink it. I will drink a specialty, like I like the
How do you smell it
Americano.
though? How do you smell the
I
coffee?
just
'Cause it's,
smell it, man. If it's in a pot, I just put it up to
but
my
what if
nose.
it's in one of those things with the nozzle and stuff? How do you
Then a lot
smell
of
it?
times I will pour it into a cup and smell it
and
before
say-
I.
make a decision.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I like lattes. There's just not a masculine way to order a latte. For that reason, I just don't order them that much. But anyway,
I drink Folgers. If
I like Folgers.
you know,
We used to serve it here, but I got voted out.
you know, I mean, if I'm desperate, but I rarely ever will just like jump on the Great Value or something just because I mean if I'm gonna drink it I want to my wife doesn't drink coffee but she says, you know what, I'm coming into this, I may drink coffee soon, so I'll fix my coffee machine before I go to bed so it's ready, and it just smells up the whole kitchen. She's like, man, that smells good, and it does smell good. Right?
Oh, it's a great smell. It's like good for the morning. So if everybody is, if you're just tuning in, this is Justin Phillips. He's the pastor at Broadmouth Baptist in Honeypath, and he's also the owner of Phillips Appliances. And they have 6 kids, and they live next door to us. Now, what's it been like? Now, you guys homeschool for the most part anyway, right?
Right. So.
And your wife's a nurse, correct?
Right. So a lot of our kids homeschool, which means they don't go to school.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
No, I mean, they don't go to school. They don't do school.
Yeah.
They don't even do school at home. I'm just kidding. They do learn. But so most of our kids homeschool, and then 2 of our kids go to Christian school. So it's just it's worked good for us. I mean, you know, I guess the craziest part is you see us out in the yard and out in the road and riding out in the road, riding bikes up the road.
They're all over the place. It's brought life to our neighborhood.
I
It's
tell
great.
people we can count about every blade of grass now because we've named them. You know, because you know we seriously we don't go anywhere. I mean, we try to support local businesses because I have friends. You know, the Mill House. They're right down the street from us, and they have the finest pizza in Greenwood.
They do,
hands down. So I was talking to Jeep yesterday, and it was kind of awkward because, you know, we're used to shaking hands. So we went to shake hands, and then we didn't, and we was going to elbow bump. And it was just a very awkward moment, you know. And I said, man, I've been enjoying the pizza that I get here, and the kids been enjoying it. So we try to eat out locally to support our local businesses as much as we can because I think that's important because they need that.
Well, doesn't the guy that owns a Pizza Inn goes to our church too, right? Yeah, so shout out to him, Pizza Inn.
And they have great pizza as well. And,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. We had some guy drop us off, Mike Shire, a guy in our church dropped us off pizza the other day for breakfast. Not breakfast.
Pizza for breakfast? That'll work.
In the afternoon. But that was Miggs. You know, it was the first time in all my years here, and I've been here for a long time, that I had pizza from Miggs. I always get a sandwich when I go there. I'd never had their pizza, but it was excellent.
Yeah, they have great food. Miggs, they have the sub sandwiches are excellent.
It was good. So I didn't look at what time we got started, Matt. So do you know about, just let me know when I've got like 5 to, okay. Oh, we're good. Yeah, so how have you, like, even now though, I mean, you're still having to keep up with the church. You're still having to do those things. And I admire that. I think that the fact that you work a full-time job and then you've got kids and you've got pastoring and all that entails. How long have you been doing that? Ever since you, I mean, I guess ever since you started, how long have you been at the church, I guess?
So I've been there 10 years. I've been bivocational for 10 years.
Wow.
And I tell people I raise money to feed hungry kids. Mine. So, you know, that's what I do. And,
that's your ministry.
But, you know, the thing is my wife has been stay-at-home mom most of our entire time. She's a nurse. She's a registered nurse, and she's been PRN with hospice care for some time, and some of that's changing now. But you know, we're just very, very blessed in that avenue. I'm a constant. I'm a professional juggler. If I was in a circus, I could really make it happen, you know. But that's just what we do.
You plan to? Is that like
Long
just
term.
plan to keep doing that?
Well, you know,
I mean, Paul was a tent maker, so
right,
there's
and
validity
he was,
to it.
and he was, and you know, for this season, yes, and I'm kind of, you know, looking into the future. I'm like, you know, how much longer can I do this? You know, because
That would be
you know,
a great point.
most everyone that I tell what I'm doing, they're like, I don't see how you do it. And I'm not Superman. I'm made out of the same flesh you are. So it's not like, you know, I have any niche on anything that, you know, other than other people. It's just a calling, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I really enjoy what I do, you know, what I do. But is it stressful? I mean, sometimes. But
Yeah.
I mean, anything
awesome.
can be stressful.
How old is Broadmouth Baptist Church? How long has it been in Honea Path?
I think it started when Noah got off the ark. I mean, it's really been around like 180 years, really. You know, it's a very well established church. You know, and I laugh because you know, when I first came there, I mean, I was 28 years old, and long story short, I was praying, my wife was praying. We was like, you know, Gideon putting out the fleece and just asked for God to direct our steps during a certain month, during a certain year. And this old, gray-haired, crazy preacher that I've heard of asked me to meet with him. And he actually asked me to come and do a supply preach for him at Broadmouth. He said, boy, can you preach? And I've always been taught to be humble. I was like, well, I guess I can, but I will preach for you. And so I went and preached, and then my wife said, how do you know that this is not the place for you to go? And I said, well, if it is, then he'll call me back. Now, this was one of those real mean sermons. I thought, well, if I'm going to go preach a sermon, I'm just going to preach a real mean sermon.
A little shotgun.
You know, it was
just hit them all.
You know, and he asked me to preach 3 weeks in a row after that. And then we sat down over coffee at Dunkin' Donuts. He said, listen, I'm at a place of retirement. My wife's in bad health, and I'd like to bring you in as an associate, and we'd vote you in as associate. And when I retire, you're the pastor. And I'm like, it's a great way to do that because it kind of eliminates the church from getting a pastoral committee and looking for 3 years, you know, for a pastor.
Yep.
And he said, you know, maybe 2 years, 5 years, maybe 3 months. I don't know, but it was 3 months. And so I became the senior pastor in 3 months. So I went from that to that and been doing it ever since.
3 months training.
3 months training.
There you go. Man, that's awesome. And then you've been there 10 years doing this, and that's incredible. His kids are awesome. They are all over the place. They've got bikes, and they're up and down the road. But, you know, at first I was like, oh, man. And now it's like there's life in the community because we, you know, our kids, we have our grandkids, but it's great to come outside and hear kids having fun and the neighbor kids and everybody, and they're all over the place now, man. They're everywhere. And that little, is he 2, your youngest?
He's 2, yeah.
So your oldest is 16?
16, yes.
And then 2, and then is the youngest. But that 2-year-old is a trip. The guy has no fear. He'll climb on anything. He'll ride anything. He seems to run everywhere he goes.
Yes, he is high energy.
He's great.
And I rock him to sleep every single night.
Wow.
Yeah. I've done that with all of our kids. I still rock my 16-year-old to sleep. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do that. She'll watch it. She'll be embarrassed.
She's mortified.
Oh, man. But
I was just thinking of her face when you said that. That's funny. That's good. I just think it's being in the ministry and at a church, you can get inside your own bubble of what's happening at your church, and only that, it's been good to get to know you and hear about, you know, what's going on over there and what God's doing. I always tell people, you know, about our churches, man, we're not the only game in town. We're not trying to be. We don't have everything right. No church does. And God's put different churches in different places to reach different people.
Absolutely.
Because so much of church sometimes is style, people's preferences or whatever, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And that's where, there are different churches around to minister to those people. So it's been really good getting to know you on that level and hearing about, what God's doing in other places. We're really blessed in this Greenwood and the surrounding area to have a lot of good churches and a lot of good places for people to be involved in. Like during this time, it's obviously it's a weird time. It's different. I mean, some parts are strangely normal and some parts are just strangely weird.
Right.
And what's been something, either a scripture or a principle? What's been something that's been kind of a go-to to you to kind of help you navigate through this?
Well, I've since this has happened, before this, I was like a social media hermit. I mean, I did nothing social media, no Facebook, no YouTube, and I tell my kids, I was like, I'm going to be a YouTube sensational because now I have 7 followers, But when this happened, it kind of drove me into ministering to people, on Facebook. So I started something I call the encouraging word, which I do like 5 days a week. And then, of course, we have our sermons online. And so I wouldn't say there's a verse per se that's been the go-to throughout this whole thing. But when you asked me about a verse, I thought about a verse immediately come to my mind, and it's found in Luke chapter number 12, verse 48. And I'll read the end of it. It says, "For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required." And I think during this time, you got to do what you can do with what you have. I mean, that's the main thing. You got to do what you can do with what you have. I mean, my wife and I, we've been on 2 dates since this has happened. And the last one we went on, we got food to go from the Huddle House. Now we got the MVP, and we ate it on my tailgate of my truck, right? Which was crazy, right? I mean, here we are in the parking lot of the theater, eating the waffle, you know what I'm saying? The smothered, hash browns, the grits, the eggs, the toast, and we're just loving it. We're just like, but this is so weird, right? This is so weird doing this, right? But it's you can't eat in the restaurant. You can't eat on the patio of the restaurant because that's against the rules, and you just got to pull over on the side of the road and just eat, you know what I mean? And, some would say, why don't you go home and eat? Remember, I have 6 kids. I mean,
yeah, that's not a date.
so we enjoyed our time together, and I just think, maybe during this time, God's people, number one, will appreciate the church. Because I think when I say the church, the assembling of the church, right?
Yeah.
Because I think, sometimes we get hung up on the stupidest things. And I don't know about your people, but, and I'm not saying our people, but I just talked to a lot of pastors.
Other churches.
Other churches.
Not
right?
ours.
Not ours.
No.
People get hung up on, just random things that just don't matter, I tell illustrations sometime in the preaching. It's like, somebody comes in the church, they see a piece of paper on the floor and say, man, we need to get that piece of paper up, We need to form a committee, So they form a committee to form a committee. And 3 months goes, by, and the piece of paper's still there. When somebody could have picked the piece of paper up, right? It's just things like that, And I hope that God's people, when they get back together, assembling together, that they would appreciate, the relationships they have. But I hope also that the lost that are watching all these videos and stuff, that they will, realize, look, this is something I need. I need to be a part of the greatest body in the whole wide world, which is the body of Christ, right? And get saved and born again, because that's what it's all about, is knowing Jesus.
That's it. That's good. Do what you can do with what you have.
That's right.
Yeah. Good thought. That's good. I think it's kind of had a two-way street, because you mentioned like not being on social media, so you've learned about it, and I think there are other people who were on social media a lot, and now that's all they have, I think both sides, you kind of see the value of the other. You know what I mean? There is a value to social media. It can be used in the wrong way, but it can be used as a tool for the gospel and for us as believers. But then I think that when it's all we have, that we all, and I think a lot of people are realizing, man, face to face is where it's at.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
there
right.
is a value to that you can't get on social media. You can't get through this video. And I'm big on that. Kim and I have been talking about that. Make this quarantine count. Do some things. Go ahead.
May I interject something?
Yeah.
Although social media has become a great tool for Christ, it's also become a great tool for the devil. So you got to watch what you watch, And one of the reasons why I never got into it is because, I see so many people. It's like that's all they do is look at this and look at this person's life and that person's life, and some people put some things on social media. I'm like, dear God, you need to keep that to yourself. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's some things you just don't tell the whole wide world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I tell my kids, because they're in this, this. This is the way young people commute today. Most.
Yeah.
And I said, be careful what you put on there, because someday you're going to be standing before an employer who's maybe going to give you a job. It's going to pay X amount of dollars, and they're going to look at what you've been talking about.
Yeah.
And you may have great skill, but if your character is smeared by that, then they may say, you know what, I'll go to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. How long we been on, Matt? All right. Well, as usual, I always like to read Psalms 100, and because I just think it's a command. I mean, it's telling us how to start our day and how to focus our mind and what we can do. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with singing. Know that the Lord, he is God. It is he who has made us, and we are his. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and bless his name. For the Lord is good. His steadfast love endures forever, and his faithfulness to all generations.
Amen.
And as we always say at the end of all of these, we are one day closer to being on the other side of this. We don't know what that looks like. We don't know how long that'll be. And it really doesn't matter. As a believer, what we've been called to do doesn't change. Whether we're staying at home or whatever, we are to bring honor and glory to God. We are to do all things without grumbling and complaining. We are to be mindful of those around us, sensitive to those around us, praying for the believers and the non-believers, and praying for our country, praying for our leaders, regardless of your affiliation, praying for our governor, all of that they'll make right decisions. And my mic is out. Can you still hear me if I talk loud? Okay, so if I talk real loud, anyway, we do have a guest on Monday. Rosemary Bell with Greater Greenwood United Ministries will be with us Monday at 8:30. We're looking forward to that and finding out what's going on in the community.
Absolutely.
And what needs are there. So we love you guys. Thanks, Justin, for being here. God bless you. And
God
we will
bless you.
see you next week, Lord willing. We'll see you Sunday.